And that is the finale of Gnosia. There's your ending, folks. My gosh, what a blah ending. Episode 18 of Gnosia. Yes, there's more episodes. It's like total 21 episodes, I believe it is. But man, that episode felt like it was a complete ending. And like, wrap it up. Here's where everybody ends up going. Cue the like, I don't know, old cop drama type of ending where everybody freezes and it has like information about how they end. I'm still trying to figure out what the whole thing with Sha Ming is. It's like he goes off and like opens up this whole like zoo place and everybody's questioning how he prods things or something like that. I'm like, what? What are we talking about here? But no, the ending was like, wait, this isn't the ending. Where's the answers to our questions? Why are we leaving it like that? But in the end, very interesting conclusion, I guess, to at least this part of the story. I'm guessing like this is the normal ending for the video game, and the following episodes are going to be maybe the like alternate endings where it kind of digs in things further. Because yes, we still have the whole thing with the Gno. There's that like elephant in the galaxy that still needs to be addressed. I mean, yes, technically Yuri and his loopings, that part of the story needs to conclude, which I guess that's sort of the ending to specifically the key. And then possibly in the future episodes, we might get like the conclusion to the Gno. Because again, like I've said before, I kind of assumed the two things were kind of separate. But the ending to this story, yes, Ratio in the end, best unspecified boy or girl that I typically say boy. Just for simplicity's sake in my brain, Ratio, yes, in the end, ends up being the savior. The one that saved everybody from the beginning and potentially in the end, depending on how these next episodes happen, was Ratio. Ratio, the genius, saved everybody. I did like that whole thing, seeing that key in there, and I'm like, yeah, I know where this is going. I know where this is going. Now, granted, Ratio kept saying that this is one in the flesh or something like that. This is one of those keys in the flesh, implying the fact that they've never seen one that was alive. So I assume that the thing that was in his cabinet was a dead one and that he's never seen a live one, unless it never reacts to Ratio. Like they've actually, messed with the thing before and it's never reacted to them, because he sort of puts it in the idea of like, and it kind of implies the fact that he doesn't want to. Like, how does it feel to be at the whims of this thing? He knows that if he activates it, he's going to get stuck to whatever that silver key wants, and thus he's like just keeping it as sort of a pet. And then right here acknowledges, oh, so you're looping. And you gave something to, okay, yeah, that's what that is. That's where this is going to end up going. All right, cool, let's set things in motion. Like, knows how that all works, know that it's going to play into it, and just kind of set things up for it. But again, Ratio, in the end, MVP, GOAT, GOAT. I do love Ratio. I think in the end, unless something changes, Setsu in this episode was incredible, but I think in the end, it'll probably be Ratio, probably my favorite character of the entire series. But anyways, where should we even start with this episode? I guess we should kind of hit the main storyline thing here, which is that, yes, it turns out that this Setsu in this particular loop that Yuri has now found himself in is the one that sort of started, at least saved Yuri's life at the very beginning. The very first episode, this is that Setsu. And so they come in there, no infectees happening. They have the whole fight going on. This is, day 0, and they're trying to get off the ship, and Yuri's like, you got to get the hell out of here. I know where this ends. You got to get the hell out of here. They managed to get off the planet thanks to Jonas and his epic Kendra suit of flying. And once they get to safety, yes, this is where we have the question mark come to Yuri's head of why am I here? There's got to be a reason why I'm here. Why am I here? Eventually goes and confronts Setsu. Setsu's acting like they've never looped before. I honestly didn't find this a shock. I did have a thought early on that Setsu herself gained the key like just before they left at some point. Potentially like, the day before they left the planet. And that every single time they all looped, she was having to go back to the planet and having to fight to survive and protect everybody, some all you need is kill kind of thing here, getting on the ship and getting out of there. But yes, it seems to imply that she has never once looped before and thus completely disregards Yuri. What the hell is that thing in your hand? Anyways, I gotta go check out the ship. I thought I was gonna go in the direction that Setsu, because of how like focused it was on Setsu, that it was gonna end up being this extra information that they were getting was that Setsu sabotaged the ship or something like that. I was like, don't do that. But no, eventually, yes, he runs into Ratio, and Ratio, best unspecified gender, I want to keep saying that, best boy, best girl, is like, yeah, what's going on? Hey, I got a question for you, a scenario that can challenge you. oh, well, then let's see if you could do it. I like how he totally baited Ratio into it, too. I love later on, he's like, Ratio, you're amazing no matter what loop we're in. You're so amazing. Thank you so much. You've helped me so much. And runs out the door. You idiot. If you were that smart, you would get that you forgot something. I like it. I love it. Anyways, yeah, this is where Ratio, yes, early on makes the joke and about the fact that Setsu has always been lying to you this entire time. But yes, eventually gets into the truth of it that, yeah, you're before that point. You're in, point zero here, and this is before Setsu gets the loop. So it's completely different. Which, yes, we find out Setsu ends up going to die, and Yuri goes, grabs the cue, and gives it to them. This is where I'm a little bit like... This is the part where, and of course it gets into it again later on, this is the part where I'm a little bit, I don't know, I don't want to think about it too much, honestly. This is one of those cases where I hate paradoxes like this. I hate where we have that element, I don't know the exact name of it, I think it's a paradox. The idea that everything has to be in a circle. The cause and effects always have to be put into play. If something triggered you to do this, you have to go back to cause it. So yes, in this entire episode, there's two things that have to be fulfilled. The first thing that Yuri is doing is essentially giving the key to Setsu so that later on she can give it to him. And then later on, at the very end of this episode, we have the point where Setsu is going off to some other universe so they can finish their key and come back and give them the key. The second part, I think more for me, doesn't really make much sense because he didn't get a full version. Now, it does imply that she goes to another dimension, she fills it up there, and then she will come back here once again when it's empty again and give it to him. But why would it want the same information again? That would be the same key. Why would it want the same information? Either way, this is where it gets in the realm of something that I don't particularly like, and I thought that early on they were establishing the multiple timelines that sort of gets around a lot of the inconsistency and time elements, where it's like, well, we're in another dimension, we're in another timeline, so it doesn't really matter that you fulfill some sort of role or something like that. It makes it to where you can kind of observe different realities, but never have to worry about, space-time continuum and paradoxes and all that kind of stuff. It's trying to get into that idea of we have to complete the cycle. Well, you're going down these branches, you don't have to go back to here. Every time you're restarting, you're starting another branch. Why do you have to go back to the original one? You're kind of undoing what you've established from the very beginning that you were able to do. Why I don't like this stuff is because it kind of brings up the whole chicken and egg scenario stuff, where it's like, okay, if there was never a Yuri to be given the key to begin with, then how was a Setsu coming to that reality to give him the key? Oh, it's because he later on will give her the key, and thus she will need to come back to give him the key. But why did he give her the key to begin with? Like, who started? It creates that whole conundrum about who started. There was no starting point. After we played out his story, there's no starting point because he started the starting point. So who started to begin with? Why it frustrates me, because in the end, I tell myself just don't think about it too much. Because it doesn't make sense in the end. It doesn't make sense in the end. I think probably in the end it will, if it expands on a little bit, it could potentially just be the Gno. The Gno was the trigger point. They triggered somebody in that whole cycle to happen, and it doesn't need to be in that cycle in the end. It makes to a very kind of heartwarming end to this entire story. Because yes, he brings the cube to her, saves her life, she's able to reset, and that completes the silver key. The silver key is finally filled, and he's able to complete this looping thing. Which, yes, for some reason, Setsu joins him. That part I didn't understand. Like, suddenly out of nowhere, Setsu's standing with him like, oh, you completed it. It's time. Like, wait, no, what? Why is Setsu with him right now? Okay, I guess the key's allowing her to be with him. That's sweet, I guess. But yes, it leads to them having a big party, and Stella's like, hey, Yuri, why is there two of you? I thought there was going to be a Yuri behind him, and then suddenly, boom, the universe collapses. It's like, no, apparently she got some information over there. But no, anyways, yes, Setsu's like, don't worry about it. I got it handled. It's going to get resolved in a minute. All right, come on with me, Yuri. We're going to go over to this little pot over here. Yes, this is where we have the reveal from Setsu that she, in fact, is one that has not given the key to Yuri yet, but for some reason understands that she needs to give the key to Yuri. Again, this is where it kind of feels like it's trying to do the whole, like, you have to complete the loop while trying to have the character understand that they have to complete the loop. Yeah, it makes sense to me that the idea that it's her consciousness only that is transferring in this existence of a Setsu that she has now come into is one that has to give the key to him. but she's about to go to another dimension where she is going to be doing more loops in order to have a key to bring back to him. Thus, this individual that is supposed to give him the key is not the one that is supposed to give him the key. So it's like, again, it's like we're trying to complete the loop, but this is why I don't like them getting into this stuff. It's like I don't like the time stuff because it just gets very messy when it comes to this kind of stuff. But the core story here is cute. The idea that in the end, this consciousness of Setsu from the Silver Key is acknowledging that she has to complete this role. You saved my life back there. I appreciate you so much for what you did for me. You saved my life. Yes, I went on this repeating journey over and over again, but in the end, I did it for you because you mean so much to me. She went through hell of loops over and over again because of the sacrifice that Yuri did back there, and she wants to repay that by going off to that dimension and, again, doing the loops until she can come back over here and give him a key. But here's the thing, and this is where it's kind of like, again, what kind of ending is this? I don't even think it's bittersweet because it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It feels romantic. It feels, there's like a romance to it. There's like it's the ultimate sacrifice. Setsu's doing the ultimate sacrifice for the one that she cares for, which is Yuri. She's going out of her way to go through all this suffering just to give him the ability to live on. And that's to complete this loop. I have to go over here and do this so I can give you this key. But what happens after she gives him the key? She dies. So in the end, she's going to die. Because I think in that very first loop, she gives him the key, she goes off and gets frozen, and I think that was the one that SQ kills everybody, ? Yeah. SQ kills him in the end. And she's frozen in there. The assumption is because, again, what they say whenever the Gnosia win in the end, the ship's gone. Like, they failed. The humans failed. The ship's gone. So that would imply that Setsu in the end dies. Unless, again, the ship is lying and in the end, I don't know, it knocks out SQ and saves everybody that's frozen in the pods or something like that. Either way, it's kind of tragic, the idea that that's her conclusion. That's the end of her story. Now, there's a chance here that Yuri can do something to fix that particular loop. Go back there to the loop where Setsu saves Yuri, or at least gives him the cube, and do something to rescue her in the end. I guess technically Yuri's dead in that loop, so Yuri can come back and finish off SQ and save Setsu. I don't know. I think the thing that's most interesting about this entire thing is the fact that Yuri let Setsu do that. Again, this is Yuri, who is very well known for being very selfless. Again, that whole sequence where the universe was collapsing, he was trying to delete himself. Again, I was posing the question to everybody, like, if you were in the scenario when nobody was going to know, because, again, nobody can know, because otherwise the dimensions, like, collapse on itself. With nobody knowing, would you go out of your way to take out yourself, or would you just take out the other you? I think most people would probably, in the end, either now or after suffering, would eventually do it. But here Yuri's going, I gotta go over here and crush myself, throw myself out into a vacuum, electrocute myself to death. He's trying to get rid of himself. Yet right here, as Setsu's about to walk through this dimension and go off and do loops again and suffer and come back eventually someday in order to give him a key before just, again, being in a loop where she's gonna die anyways, why would he even let her do that? Like I don't see, what, Yuri, what happened to you? I guess it's obviously the resolve. He sees the resolve in Setsu. I'm going to do this. Please don't stop me. Please don't let all these loops be for nothing. I have to finish this. That's what she's basically saying. I have to finish this. I've gone this far. I got to finish this. This is the whole process here. In the end, like I said, it's tragic, but at the same time, it was really strong. Like that whole sequence with Setsu and the music playing in the background, super strong, dude. I absolutely loved it. And again, it's the ultimate sacrifice that she's doing for somebody that she cares for as she walks through that little dimension and leaves. But yes, it wraps up the episode with him going back to the party and having, again, everybody acknowledging that there was somebody else, but they can't remember. So again, implying the idea that Setsu's existence is gone. They still acknowledge that she did something. They just don't know who it was. But yeah, they're all having their party and stupid little like messages for each individual. Like I said, Sha Ming's was like, wait, what? What did it say? Becomes a famous zoologist, animal communities he created, and his intrusive methods of examining his subjects drew mixed reactions. Like, what Ratio, disillusioned with authoritarian, joins Remnant to basically do a revolt. And there's a statue of Ratio, neck is standing, and there's one stack square. What? Chippie became a feline, of course, travels with Comet. Dude got the best ending right there. Freaking Chippie gets to run around with Comet. What the hell, dude? SQ lived with Gina before going to school and becoming a detective for some reason. I don't know if she wanted to look into her family or look into Maman or something like that, or specifically that whole crap with Remnant and stuff like that. Question mark? I don't know. That just reminded me, we never really got anything conclusive around Kukrushka and all that stuff. I mean, yes, let's get into what exactly we have left. I mean, we still have Kukrushka to get into. We still have Maman still kind of like lingering a little bit there. And yes, Yuriko and the ship and the Gno. Those stories are still like, we still have to complete. It could be that a lot of that stuff is very tied in with the overall deeper story that we're hopefully going to get. But either way, again, very bittersweet ending to what I'm assuming is the main ending for Gnosia, but overall, I don't like the fact that they drugged up the whole we have to do the completed loop thing. It's like, you didn't have to do that, and you're kind of muddying up the water. You didn't have to do that, but it's kind of cool in certain ways. In the end, it's still cool in certain ways. But anyways, that's my thoughts on the episode of Gnosia. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and want to support y'all more, become a member. Until next time, you'll take care.